I just bought this £10 million food and drink wholesale business here in London. I'm super excited about this acquisition because it fits so strategically well with all of my other companies. I can't wait to tell you what I'm going to do with it. Let's find out. Now, buying Cafe Deli has been a year's worth of work, raising the money, making it all happen. I'm going to tell you about that later on in the video. What I really bought here was this transport infrastructure. See, 3.5 years ago, I bought an ice cream company, the Rossi Ice Cream Company, that had nowhere near this amount of transport. We had a couple of vans and we were listed with a few wholesalers. And getting listed with more was like pushing water up a hill. I knew if I could buy my own food services business that was operating at scale, just like Cafe Deli, at the stroke of a pen on contract signing, I'd be able to distribute my products just like that. And that's what happened. But it gets better than that. Let's go inside and I'll tell you for why. The real reason this is extra special is it's not just that we make ice cream and we need our ice cream distributed, but we also own a hotel, 2 visitor attractions, a big chain of indoor play centres and day nurseries. And they need all of this stuff. They need drinks and packs of crisps and food to cook. And this is what Cafe Deli does. Now look, I did start doing this some of myself. I generated about £1 million worth of sales doing wholesale to my business from the back of Rossi, but I didn't have the volume and the infrastructure that Cafe Deli gave us as soon as we signed the contract to say buy. And now look at it, we've got packaging, we've got more lines. Our teams are going to be so super excited because I put my business under a bit of pressure while we set all this up because we didn't have the money, the infrastructure, the team, the knowledge, the volume to be able to play the game at this level. Now we do. We're supplying over 2,000 independent customers. Considering Rossi only had 300-400 active ice cream customers, putting us all together just is a marriage made in heaven. Having the volume really helps in business, and that's the desert periods that entrepreneurs and business owners go through. If you're running your business right now and you think, oh, if I just had 10% more revenue, then I could afford a manager, or I could afford an accountant, or I could afford that next van or lorry to make everything happen. See, we can now go and buy 4 more vans and lorries with utter confidence rather than just saying it's a speculation, it's actually needed. We can actually do some really good stuff. We can go to suppliers and say, yeah, we'll take 10 pallets. So suppliers want to help you out more. But the big plus for me was the little things. And I'll tell you a little thing. Having so many vehicles that we've got now means I'll just employ a mechanic straight away so that all of the vehicles are well looked after because we've got the volume, we've got the economies of scale. And they've done all those little 1% improvements, like this little box over here. They're packaging all the small items inside these boxes and they know how to stack the vans really well. All that stuff that's taken them 3 decades to work out. We can take all of that, swipe and deploy all of that into our existing wholesale business, putting it together. It's just so fun. Investing in software as well. If you wanted to make a scanning in and out system, if you're only turning £1 million, would you think, is it worth doing? But once you're doing 10, 15 million, and I think we can get this to a 25, 30 million pound business in 3 short years, it all starts to make sense. Things that excite me like this as well. Look, this is our range of pecans. It's all got the logos on and all of the other ingredients that cafes need. It's just so flipping fantastic. So let's break down the deal now. I want to show you on the whiteboard why I did it, why it makes so much strategic sense. All the nosy stuff that I know you want to find out. Right, let's get into the juicy nuggets of this deal. Why did I buy Cafe Deli Wholesale? Well, synergies. One of the best things. I mean, that's the number one, leverage. We'll talk about that in a minute as well. Immediate cash flow add to my existing business and their business. And it was a great deal. I'm going to break all that down as well. We're going to find out where I find these businesses, how I buy them, and what structures I use. But let's dive into the whys a little bit more. Synergies are really important. So, we've got an ice cream company. They've got fleets of lorries, like little soldiers lined up. And that means that I can get my ice cream and my bakery products that we make at Rossi into London every single day and all round the M25. And in fact, if you've got a coffee shop or a restaurant, make sure you give us a call. We'll distribute to you, baby, and look after you with some great prices. So I'm looking for synergies every time I buy a business. Now look, we're in a hotel right now. I bought this hotel. What's the synergies? Well, I can make my videos here. I can hold my seminars here. I can sell my Rossi Ice Creams and food services products into my hotel. That's synergies. I'm always looking for that. In fact, when you're buying a business, if you can find synergies, or another word for this is leverage, where you do the work once and get paid forever, if you can find synergies and leverage in, that's more important than anything else. You've got to make sure it's making a profit, but quickly go on to synergies and leverage. Right. When I bought Cafe Deli, it was a commercially profitable enterprise working without the owners in it, which to me defines a flipping fantastic business. And that's a leveraged business. It doesn't need me in it day to day running and managing the thing. So when you look at a great business, E plus M equals S, entrepreneurship plus management equals success. I'm the entrepreneur looking to find the synergies, looking for leverage. It had an amazing management team in place that could look after the day-to-day. That was one of the big whys, synergies and leverage. I could also give it immediate cash flow. Well, what does that mean? Well, I've got £1 million worth of food services business that I've sort of pushed into Rossi. But actually I can give that to Cafe Deli, and also Cafe Deli is buying £500,000 worth of cakes and donuts and wasn't buying any ice cream yet. They can give all of that to Rossi. Rossi can give all the food services to them. It's just fantastic. Synergies and immediate cash flow. Rossi gets £500,000 worth of bakery goods orders, and Cafe Deli gets £1 million worth of extra business just by signing on the dotted line. And also, it was a great deal. It was a great deal. It was a business, 10 million quid, making £1 million worth of profit. It's got loads of capacity to do more. I think I paid a fair price for it. It wasn't one of my usual no money down deals where I didn't pay anything for it. I paid £1 on day one and then paid the owners over a period of time. No, I paid everything on day one, and I used the bank to help me and some of my own money. Let's talk about structure then and how I bought it. I got the bank to help me. They put some money in, and then James Sinclair put some money in, and we set up a holding company called Cafe Deli Holdings to go and buy the trading company Cafe Deli Wholesale Limited. So the cash goes in, you buy that, then the owners can go off, they can get asset business disposal relief, formerly called entrepreneurs relief, so it's really tax efficient at the time of making this video for the sellers. Doesn't make a difference to the buyers, but when you're negotiating, that's a great tool because people pay 10% tax at the time of recording this on the first million, and then only 20% there afterwards. So much more tax efficient than taking dividends out of your business. And at the time of recording this, I hope that stays, but who knows in the future whether governments might change those rules. I'm going to talk to you about how you can fund a deal like this in detail with a bank in a minute, but I want to just quickly talk about where did I find this? Well, I do a lot of desktop research. Don't we all? I typed into Google, food wholesalers London for sale. And I found 5 or 6, and then I got in the car and I went and saw them. I got to meet the owners, see how they are, build rapport, really important. And when you've got a good business like that, it's not just about the money. They're choosing the right people to take on the business, look after their staff. They built this business for 4 decades. Of course they cared about what happens to it. And so I had a brilliant relationship with Angie and Mario, who owned the business before me. They're just lovely, wonderful people, and I'm very thankful that they've given me the chance and my team the chance to take this business to the next level. But there are other ways you can find businesses. Send letters out. This was actually for sale with a business broker, and you've got naff business brokers and really good business brokers. Actually, the best businesses are in M&A firms, mergers and acquisition companies that put bigger businesses together and will help you fund it. So these guys are usually accountants. These will find you bigger businesses. These will be slightly smaller businesses depending on the broker. direct outreach via letters. I've done that as well, emails, speaking on stage at industry events. So if I wanted to buy other food services businesses, I'd make sure I join up the Food Wholesale Association and get to know everyone there over time, if that thing does exist. And I'd make sure that we're famous to a few within that sector. So if people want to sell, they think of you first. Let's now talk about how could you fund a deal like this. When I bought Cafe Deli, what's the big advantages here? It's an established business, 40 years old. It makes profit. It's got great management. It's got systems and processes. And who likes this sort of stuff? Banks. You've been around for 40 years, you're making profit, you've got great management, you've got systems and processes. Banks will help you fund deals like this. They usually will put 1/3 into an acquisition like this. But where do we get the other 2/3 from? Well, a company like Cafe Deli, now this is not how I structured it, but you could do it like this. What about if you've got equipment, vans, assets? Well, you can get asset finance on that stuff. So we've got 1/3 coming from the bank, 1/3 coming from asset finance, and the bank might even arrange that for you. So where's the balance, the last third? Well, that needs to come from you. How do we do that if we haven't got the money? Well, you could do something called vendor finance. This is where the owner gets paid as a third loan over a period of time from the profits of the business. I've actually done 100% finance deals with vendor finance before, and I've done part and part, I've done a mixture of both. But what if the vendor doesn't want to do that? And I didn't do that with Cafe Deli. They got all their money on day one and we've gone our separate ways, except we have mutual respect for each other. You could also do an earn out with the sellers. So you get a portion of the profits going forward for 5 or 10 years, for example. That tends to happen quite a lot in deals. And banks are quite supportive of this because they think, well, if the vendor is prepared to wait for their money and they will sit behind the bank, that's really important. The vendor sits behind the bank will always want first charge security. The bank are quite comfortable that the vendor is going to be sticking around to help make sure the business is successful, and they're prepared to put some skin in the game. I actually run a seminar called Buying Businesses, a whole day on how I do stuff like this with multiple different strategies. If you want to come and join me, all the details are on my website, jamessinclair.net, and that's called Buying Businesses Masterclass. I'd love to see you there, and I'll help you find out how you can buy businesses using little money, no money, funding it all. And sometimes I've even done deals where you get reverse premiums, where people actually pay you money to take over their business. Because a lot of people are very acutely aware to close a business costs a lot of money. And that's why you get these things called reverse premiums, where people will pay you to take over a business. I've done it so many times now, I know so many different strategies. That's why I run a whole day on doing it called Buying Businesses. Well, hopefully that helps you understand how I done the Cafe Deli deal. I'm so super excited about bringing this into our fold. It's the biggest sort of deal I've done in terms of revenue businesses. I've done bigger ones in terms of asset valuations, but it's a good one. It's a good one. Hope you like this. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, let me know in the comments what you think. And don't forget, if you have got a coffee shop, a cafe or a restaurant, make sure you look after us. We'd love to look after you, and I'll see you in the next video.